discuss about research bazaar. Okay. Sorry. I'll just stop this one for a second. Yeah, sharing. Oh, cool. Yes. So we are going to talk about today Research Bazaar, and it's a kind of festival, as Trishala said correctly, and it focuses on upskilling or improving digital literacy, digital skills among researchers. Normally, it could happen over the week, or maybe we can incorporate kind of in-person session, online session, kind of things like that. But today, it's a kind of online session, 2 hours. We'll see how we could cover all these things within the very short period of time, right? Okay, so here we go. So today, yeah, so presenters already introduced by Trishala, so I don't want to spend that much time on it, myself and my colleague. As Trishala said, I'm currently working to Victoria University of Wellington as an academic developer. Right, my colleague Rana.
Hi everyone, my name is Rana. I'm also an academic developer working with Namely. We both share the same interest in using digital devices for learning and teaching. And also we share our interest in tea. We both like to drink tea all the time. So yeah. Yeah.
Right, thanks Rana. Okay, here we go. Right, so this is the aim of today's session. So what we are focusing is to motivate you as a maybe young researcher, or maybe you are maybe a experienced researcher, but you need to adopt digital tools with your research practice. So that's the aim of our session today. And so before I move into this activity first, I need to say that this is going to be an interactive session. So this is a 2 hours workshop. It's not just like giving presentation. We expect all the participants will join with us for the activities actively. So it will give us a lots of insight for us to continue the session, as well as it will share lots of information among each others as well. Right, so before we move into the workshop properly, so we would like to start with the activity. So what we need to focus is we need to see what kind of research tools that you currently use for your own research practices, or your own research uh, with your own research experiences, what kind of tools that you are using currently. It could be softwares, it may be computational resources, or maybe library resources, or maybe it could be library physical tools as well, right? So you can see the link has been already given or shared in the chat box. Or if not, you can also go to the menti.com and then enter the code as well, 85950560, right? So that's time for you to join with the activity. If you are using the laptop, it's pretty easy to use the link that's shared in the chat box. If not, you can scan the QR code from your mobile phone, or maybe go to menti.com and enter the code. So you have different ways of accessing the activity, right? So there will be 5 keywords that you can enter. Try yourself to add at least 5. If not, you can add 1 to 2, 1 to 3. It depends on you how much tools, research tool that you are using currently. Okay, so at the same time, I will share the actual site to see the results, right? Here we go. Okay. Right. So now you can see how things coming up. So it looks like, I mean, the results are showing for us as a word cloud. So you can see if number of participants are using SPSS, so that means the word become bigger and bigger. And yeah, we'll wait for a while. We can see that only few participants online, and still there are other participants need to be joined with the session as well, join with the activity. Mm-hmm. I hope you can see the shared screen.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now you can see that until we wait for others response, we can see that SPSS, that's the kind of famous tool, famous research tool that you are using. And we can see some of the Microsoft Office package as well, Mendeley, EndNote, yeah, and WebQuest, some of the databases, library databases, um, and yeah, Evernote, yes, right. So it's growing bit and bit. Okay, so now we have a background understanding about yourself and your engagement with the research tools as well. Cool. So let me share the presentation again. Right. Here we go. Okay, so we got the idea. Right. Now, I'll slightly explain you about why those kind of digital research practice is really important for our research practices. Especially, we know that we are living in the information world, and then it's information explosion is there, right? We can access different tools to get information, and within this context, how and why we should have a digital research practices, right? So this is one of the examples. So one is we'll be able to access faster or fast access to current or wider range of information. We don't need to wait for the manual access to go to the library and get the information. I know that Sabaragama University Library also providing lots of online resources, online tools, and giving lots of information, sharing information among the academics and students as well. So we don't need to worry about accessing information if we are accessing digital information. And also it's 24/7. So there's no restrictions on opening hours as well. So there are lots of material and support we could gain through 24/7. So it's pretty good, because when we are dealing with the research process, it doesn't mean that we are actually using the daytime or nighttime. It doesn't mean that, because according to our own time, so we can actually carry out our activities, right? And the other one is expedite your research process. So if we use some of the manual techniques, and instead of that, if we use the digital research tools, we could expedite the research process, and also effectively as well. Sometimes when we do it manually, we don't know that whether it is correct or not. For example, if I thinking about the reference list, right? So I saw that some of them you are using Mendeley reference tools as well. So if you are using those kind of tools, we know that at the end of the research paper or thesis, it's pretty easy for us to add our references, and very quick and also effective. The other one is about academic and professional success. If we are engaging with up-to-date tools, up-to-date research tools, then we know that our capacity, and also it's pretty nice to show your capability and how you're going to use those tools with your research practices, and how it shows your capacity, right, as an academic or professional. So you are very capable and also confident of using those tools. The final one is the adaptability. There will be many more advantages of using digital research practices, but I just strict into these few advantages. The adaptability. So we know that the technology is improving so fast, so we need to grab the technology at the correct time, the correct place as well. So if we are not using those digital tools at this moment, where that currently available tools, so if you are not using them right now, that means we are a bit late to engage with the technology and things. Okay, so these are some of the advantages, or maybe why we should use digital research tools, right? And now I would like to show the structure of the workshop. Myself and Rana, my colleagues, is going to conduct. Okay, so we actually divided our research process into three parts. So we would like to discuss about the pre-data analysis stage, and also the data analysis stage, and finally post-data analysis stage. And in the pre-data analysis, we know that we need to engage with the literature search, knowledge maps, and also literature tracking and data collection. And when we comes to the data analysis process, we need to think about, by thinking about our research practice search, are we going to have the quantitative data analysis or qualitative data analysis? And post data analysis, starting from thinking about your outcome, your output. Am I going to produce the thesis, or publishing? I'm ready to publish articles and so on. So you need to think about compilation of your references and bibliography, and thinking about the plagiarism rate of your paper or the thesis, and also the importance of presents yourself as an online researcher, or presents yourself online, right? And finally, come up with the outcome with the journal manuscript submission, or publishing your article in the peer-reviewed journals, or submitting your thesis, right? So we will, this is the structure, and then we will try our best to introduce some of the digital tools along with these activities. So how you could use such tools in order to carry out these activities. Okay, right. So before we moving into the other um, slide, I would like to again move into the activity. So that means we would like to know about what kind of issues, what kind of problems that do you face in the literature review process currently. Because if we are thinking about the research process, if it is starting from the research problem, and then thinking about the research literature review, how you're going to identify the literature, right? Where are you going to find them? So thinking about those kind of literature review process, so what kind of issues actually do you face, right? So what you have to do again, so please go to menti.com again, or maybe you can again scan the QR code, or the link is available again in the chat box, so you can use that. And please go to that activity, and then you can add multiple choice answers. So one or two answers are related to you, then go ahead. Maybe 4, 5, 6, then go ahead, that's fine. Yeah, that's multiple choice. You can click whatever the suitable responses over there. Okay, right. So at the same time, I'll share the screen with you. Here we go. Great. So we can see that how responses are coming through. Right. So we can see that yes, information overload is one of the issue, and also quality control, thinking about which literature provide you the good quality information related to your study. And yeah, there's no such the language barriers and managing citations are not that much complicated. Yeah, still coming through those responses. Right, and we can see that access to resources and diversity of resources also one of the issue, because as I said previously, the information coming from different formats, right? So it could be the databases, it could be coming from the different search engines, journal articles, ebooks, resources, yeah. And the timing also one of the issue, so we can see that. Okay, yeah, along with me. So you can also see the same results, right? So you can see what are the type of issues that actually you face in the literature review process. Let's see with our recommendations and the practices, you will be able to somehow minimize those issues um, after the after listening to this presentation or after watching this one. Let's see. Okay, let me share the presentation again. Right. Okay. So I will move to next step then. So now I'm going to start with the pre-data analysis stage. As you can see, as I introduced earlier, because we divided into three parts our structure of this session. So the first part is about pre-data analysis, and you can see that these three concepts are going together as well. It's not like doing one by one. So those things are integrated together. Um, and first we can start with the literature search. And since most of you are representing from the university library or university sector, you have the access to different databases, right? So these are some of the tools. So your own university library provides different databases, and also you can access some of the general search engines as well, as you can see from the screen, maybe Google Scholar, SSRN, or other databases. And I know that especially Sabaragama University Library, as well as the other university libraries, they provide their own e-repositories, where their own publications that you could access from e-repositories. So you can access them as well. Right, and then why we should require the knowledge maps. So as we identified from the previous activity, so it's a time constraint, and also there are lots of resources available. You don't know that which one need to be shoot with your research and which one you should go with, and then how we could find the other relevant resources. So knowledge map, so we have different tools like Research Rabbit, um, uh, connected papers, lit maps, or elicit, that kind of thing. Normally, we could go with our Google account. All these tools supports with our Google Gmail accounts as well. And we don't need to use all of them, but whatever the tool that shoots with you could use, right? And it shows it's visualized the research papers that you selected, and then show the connectedness among the research papers as well. So then you get the idea. I'll show them later on very quickly. And the other thing is about the literature tracking. Um, so for that purpose, you can actually use reference management tools. I know that some of you are using Mendeley, and there are other opportunities to use Zotero as well, if not Docker. Yeah, it depends on your choice again, right? Okay, so let me show you some of the tools very quickly. I may not get chance to show you these Research Rabbit connected papers and lit maps all together, but I'll try my best to show how you could work with the Research Rabbit or connected papers and so on. Okay, right. Let me share the screen again. Here we go. Mm, 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 mm. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Now you can see the research rabbit. So this is actually, you can use this research rabbit tool as a knowledge map tool that encourage researchers to see or the visualize your literature, right? For example, when you get into research rabbit, you can see the screen like this, and then you can add new collection, new categories. And also most important thing is if you are using the Sotero reference management tool, so you can import Sotero library collection to the research rabbit, right? And as I said earlier, it visualized papers, the connected with the authors, and then how many authors that you are referring, and then which authors are working together, right? Publishing the same article, right? So like that, we can see the connectedness. Okay. So if I can go for the example, for example, I have this library that I got from the Sotero collection. And when I click on here, now you can see that all the papers coming through. If not, I can add papers manually as well. And you can also add new categories collection under each collections, each categories as well, right? So I got one category, and then under that I got one collection. If need another collection, so you can plus click on this one and then develop another collection. Okay, so when I think about my papers, right? So me and Rana, and also one of the other academic developers in the Center for Academic Development in VUW. So currently we are working on the research project on academic development and doing the systematic literature review as well. So if we are talking about this research process, then we need to think, okay, so which research articles that provide lots of insight for me to carry out this research, for us to carry out this research, right? So you can see, if I click on that, right, and you can see I selected one paper, right? So if I'm thinking about this paper as a key paper for me to find out the other connection, then you can see, okay, there are lots of similar works happening, and it shows the connection again. Okay, so you can see this is one particular connection, and also there are the other connection as well. So for example, if I can see the Sutherland 2018, right? If I click on that, then I can go from one key article to another key article to see the other connection. Because how it's important for the research or the literature review process is it gives lots of insight for us to go for the relevant research articles rather than wasting time on searching lots of information on different databases or information or search engines, right? And I can see that, okay, so if I can go there, then again you can see I pick one article and then I have gone to the other article by looking at the map, right? And then I can see another similar works, I could find it, right? Like that. So this is a channel, and then you can see how it's visualized all this information. It's pretty easy, and you need to engage with these kind of tools to see, or to reduce your time, to minimize your time, and then go to the particular research articles to carry out your research, for example, to see the gap and identify other important information, right? Okay, so those are the important things. And also, if I quickly show you the connected papers, that's the idea is similar, but the way of working with different tools is going to be quite different, right? In the research rabbit, we can actually add papers as well, and then we can bring the other collections to the research rabbit as well. But when we use the connected papers, so we can actually bring some of the keywords, we can search some of the keywords. And if we are thinking about the, that a snowball search technique, so looking at key article, so we can bring that key article's title here, or maybe DOI number or another identifier, and then build the connectedness from there, right? That's also helpful for you to come up with the relevant literature. For example, if I search here, learning analytics, right? If I'm happy to study about the learning analytics, I search that one, and then I can click on this build graph, right? So you can see that how it's already built up the network, the visualization of the research articles that published, right? And also when I go through each papers, you can see that from the left hand side or right hand side, those details are changing. And then if we are happy to go with those kind of information, we can go into those papers. So we can access the PDF, or maybe we can go for the Google Scholar and find it, or maybe if we can find it from the databases, right? And you can see that some of the what we called we can see this like a bulbs, right? Or bubbles. So these bubbles, some of the bubbles are very big and some of the other bubbles are very tiny, right? So those big bubbles means they got lots of citations, right? So from there we can pick, okay, so I can see that this is a kind of a famous article cited by number of authors. So if I can click on there, so I can, it shows it's an original paper, right? And then it recommends me because it's cited by lots of authors. So I can make sure that I selected the best article for me to start with the research process, right? So if I'm not happy with that one, so you can go to the other sections and then see what's going on. Is that related to my study or not? And then without wasting time, just move into here and there and then see the stuff to go with, right? Or if not, you can click on these prior works and then go ahead and then you can see the early years that published similar articles or maybe derivated works, things like that, right? Okay, so these are some of the relevant tools that I or we could um, suggest you to use, because it's not always about the searching. Searching is really important, but really important to think about how you're going to minimize your time and then come up with really quality outcome that shows the research gap for your study, or to carry out your literature review, come up with the different theoretical backgrounds, theoretical inputs, right? So these kind of tools will help you to identify those things very quickly, rather than searching number of spending number of times, spending number of days for the searching only. Okay, right. So I will probably stop from that sign and moving to next. Okay. Oh, sorry. Right. So I'm here. Right. I think I will probably hand over to my colleague Frana to go with the other sections. Okay, here we go.
I'm just sharing my screen. Welcome, everyone. I'm just sharing my screen now. Okay, so we stopped here. And okay, so we're still talking about the pre-data analysis. However, before we move next step, I would like you also to have a look at what I would like to ask you first about what data collection methods do you usually use, or do you usually collect actually? So I'm going to, you can use your mobile from here, or you can actually access this from the chat. So you can see it on the chat. Just a moment. Yeah. So hopefully, you can see it now. So I'm just going to share with you how the data looks like now. I'm now collecting that from you. So what data collection methods do you usually use? You can add, for example, surveys, interviews, clinical data. Awesome. Secondary data, observations. Oh. Use questionnaire observations, experiments. Awesome. Yeah, we can use to share. And then we share their ideas. Okay. Interviews. So we have lots of people who are actually doing interviews. And documents. Awesome. Schools analysis. Questionnaire interviews coming first. Others using different types of data. Awesome. Waiting for you to share your ideas. And some are actually people using secondary data, which can be referred to data collected by others. For example, they're using databases from other. Yeah. Awesome. So I think you if there's more data, I will actually share it with you shortly. However, so let's talk a little bit about collecting data now. So now we need to collect data. What we really need to think about when we start collecting data, and how actually digital tools will help us to collect data. In the past, people used to, for example, do interviews. People used to go to field to collect data. People used to use printed surveys to give it to people and collect it. However, before thinking about which digital tools is best to use to collect my data, I need to ask myself a couple of questions. The first one is related. Am I actually collecting a primary data or secondary data? Primary data that I will collect myself, or do I'm going to use data from other resources collected by other researchers? The other question you need also to answer or to think about is the data, will the data be naturally occurring? For example, are you going to observe classroom interactions without any interventions? Or for example, you're going to record people's conversation online without your intervention? Or the data will be research generated? That means that you're actually going to interview or do like an experiment, and then you are going to generate the data. The other type of data the other question that also you need to think about, would the data be cross-sectional? I just need to collect it this day, this moment, this incident. Or is it a case management, which means that I need to follow up with others? For example, I'll need to collect the data at the beginning, then in the middle, then after the end. So here, this is going to be a different way for collecting the data. Also, you need also to check if you're going to need, will the data be collected digitally, only online? All I need to just collect the data online, or I would need first to collect physical data, then digitalize them. Digitalize them, for example, you went to a school in a space where nobody actually is working there, and you need to collect surveys on paper and using paper and pen. These are physical data. Then after that, you need to digitalize them using digital tools. Now, this is also one of the things you need to consider about the type of data you're going to collect. For example, are you also going collect data from the field? And you need, for example, a recording to record the interactions happening there. Finally, are you going to need to collect the data online or offline? This is also one of the things that can be tricky for us as researchers, because sometimes we actually need to collect the data offline. We can't be connected to the internet all the time, and I will need a tool that will help me. Even if I'm not connected to the internet, I can actually still collect the data. So based on that, there's usually two main things we need to think about. All of these factors or these thinking tools, they are going to be the way for us to decide which digital tool I'm going to use. Now, in the market, you will see lots of digital tools to collect data. Some of them are actually very simple. They are really good to collect your own data, primary data, and they are really good when you would like to generate the data. Or, for example, they're just for cross-sectional, and they actually most of them are digital tools. So most of us actually are familiar with Google Forms or SurveyMonkey or Qualtrics to do surveys and actually to get these data quickly and easily. However, if you are looking for something that is more complicated, that requires, for example, case management, or require digitalizing the tools, or require, for example, naturally occurring, like example, things happening, or actually you need data that is collected by others, there's also different types of tools that you can use. Here, most of these tools actually need subscription. Some of them will give you like a limited space. Some of them will give you like limited access. I'm going quickly to share with you one of those tools, which is RedCap. RedCap is really good for most of the health research. And as you can see, it is used in different countries around the world. And it is actually also the main thing why people actually like to use it for health and clinical research is that it includes not data, but it also uses the databases created by others institutions. So if you are collaborating, for example, with other universities, and you both have databases on this on using this tool, you can actually use this. So it's really good for primary and for secondary data. In addition, also you can collect the data online. And so, as I said, as long as you know these questions and it's clear in your mind, it will help you to decide which to use. You don't really need to subscribe expensive tools if you are actually focusing on these simple or these limited use for data. So the choice of the data will, how the method to collect data requires from us just to know exactly what type of data we need to collect. So now we have completed the first part about for today's workshop, which is about free data analysis. We discussed literature search, knowledge maps, literature tracking, and data collection. Now we're going to talk about data analysis. And in data analysis, we're going to discuss first qualitative data. The reason for starting with qualitative data is that it's not very popular. Most of researchers, and research shows that most of qualitative researchers prefer to use non-digital tools to analyze data. In addition, they also prefer to use, for example, Microsoft Office, like for example, Word or Excel sheets to analyze their data by coding and using them to code the interviews, for example, or to do coding or like highlighting things there, developing things into tables. However, there are, since 1980, there started computer-assisted qualitative data analysis software. And examples, popular Atlas, MaxiQDA, and InVivo. Now, these tools, actually, as I said, can be, not everyone actually, it's not, we call it not the cup of tea of everyone. Not all researchers actually are convinced that we actually need to use them. As I said, lots of researchers say, does it worth using them? So the first question that most of researchers actually ask, is it worth using them? And to answer this question and why, I'm trying here actually to encourage you to use them, First of all, they are really good to use them if you're going to do ground theory, thematic analysis, qualitative content analysis, narrative analysis, mixed methods as well. These tools or these CAD QDAS are really, really good for you and will save you heaps of time. And in addition, will help you to maintain the quality of your data. In addition, working with large and complex data, if you are going to deal with data, large and complex data, tools will be very useful. In addition, if you are actually collecting different types of data, for example, if you are collecting interviews, videos, recording, artifacts from the students, physical things, you have different resources of data, and you've collected these data from different resources, and it's going to be very frustrating to put them into, for example, Word documents. Using these software will actually make your life much easier and will actually speed up the process to analyze these data, the data. The other thing is display data in different ways. So you can actually use it to display, once you finish, you can use them to use graphics, in addition to the collaboration, which means that different researchers around the world actually same university, they all can actually access this data. The other questions that also to convince you to use these data is, however, you need to bear in mind the following before using them. First of all, these are not instruments for statistical analysis or statistical computations, except if you're going to do mixed methods. So some of them actually provide this, is in the context of mixed methods. The other thing is that it's not going to code on its own. You will still need to code. So it's actually, as we said, it is assisting, or it's to support you to do your work. It's not going to do the work instead of you. Then it's also either if you're actually going to use them, it's actually, they are not going to support, it's not going to replace you. This is very important because one of the conference, one of the researchers who came from quantitative background, he couldn't understand the value because he said, okay, if I'm going to put the interviews, will it going to analyze it for me? And then we answered, no, you still need to do the coding, but you actually will help you to do the coding process in a very easy way. In addition, there is still some problems for example, the bias, for example, methodological deficiencies. It will not actually reduce that, but it will not actually eliminate it, but it will actually reduce it in a really nice way because it can help you actually to show the transparency. It will make your research more transparent to everyone. Finally, now the big question is, okay, how I'm going to use, there's lots of tools there. So the first of all is the type of processed data. So you need to decide the type of the data you're going to use, the method and the mode of conducting analysis is going to be an thematic, grounded theory. Finally, if it will depend on your organizational context. For example, do you have subscription to them, collaboration, or are you going to collaborate with other researchers in using them? Here, we have the three very popular types of very popular software to analyze the qualitative data. You have NVivo, MaxiQDA, Atlas. I'm going to quickly scan these three before showing you a quick example about one of them. NVivo is really good if you are going to do, if your university actually has a subscription to it. And the best feature for it, it's the flexibility in document types. So you can add different types, but that's not only in NVivo, it's also in MaxiQDA from my experience. However, it can be actually a bit tricky because the learning curve for NVivo can be tricky. So you think at the beginning, oh, it's easy to learn, but then you discover that it requires more time than you wanted. If you are going to use NVivo, please give yourself time to learn, so consider that you will need time to learn NVivo. It's not going to happen quickly or intuitively, it will take time. But it will be really good if you're doing, as I said, grounded theory or literature review. Now for MaxiQDA, which I used in my recent research, it is really good if you are using different types of data, and if you would like to do transcripting, and if you would like to have like to be able to use it in different devices like Mac or PC. The other thing, if you are a visual person who likes to see things visualized in front of you, MaxiQDA makes the access your data very, very easy, because it's the visualization there is very good. However, the thing you need to be careful about, and also one of the main things about MaxiQDA, it's really good for mixed methods. Finally, Atlas. Atlas was the first one. So you might notice that most of researchers actually used it in the past. And so most of the researchers actually are experienced in using it. However, it is designed to be starting from the grounded theory. So it's really good for grounded theory. However, comparing to NVivo and MaxiQDA, you find that some of tools there are much easier in MaxiQDA and NVivo. And in addition, one of the main problems is that no spreadsheet support for variables, limited code flexibility, and this can be a bit tricky if you would like to do like if you're going to do the coding. And also do not have the folders, do not group. Sometimes the hierarchies there might be a bit tricky when you use Atlas. Now I'm going to show you quickly one of the things that hopefully will convince you and will help you to choose to use these analytical tools. So I'm going to share it now. Yeah, I need to stop share, but I'm going to share again with the sound. So just to ensure that you can hear this. This is quickly. I'm not going to keep it, but it's just to show you that, for example, MaxiQDA is now adding AI assist, and let's see how this can actually be very helpful for you as a researcher.
Assistant in MaxiQDA. With this brand new AI-based add-on for MaxiQDA 2022, you can summarize selected text passages and memos, summarize coded segments, have subcodes suggested to you, and create summaries in the summary grid.
The screen
you can
is
customize
the screen is
we can see the screen. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going again to stop share it here. Yeah, sorry for that.
Output according to your AI-based add-on for MaxiQDA 2022. You can summarize selected text passages and memos, summarize coded segments, have subcodes suggested to you, and create automatic summaries in the summary grid. You can customize the output according to your wishes at any time later. With the help of AI Assist, you can summarize selected text passages from your documents. For example, specific statements of interviewed persons. To do this, first highlight the passage, then right-click and choose AI Assist, Summarize Selection from the context menu. In the following dialog, we can specify the language in which we want the summary to appear. It does not matter what language the selected text passage is in. AI Assist will translate the summary into the selected language. The option to select the language of the summary is the same for all AI Assist functions. Furthermore, we can also specify the length of the summary and determine whether the summary should appear in bullet points or as continuous text. After we accept the terms and conditions, the summary is created and saved in a new in-document memo. We can now review the summary and adjust it as needed at any time.
So I'm going to share the link for this video if you are interested in watching more about how you can to know more about using these tools. So I'm sharing this now on the chat. You can access that later and watch it after that. So you would see how actually these types of the software can actually be very, very helpful and save you time and keep the quality of your research. One of the final thing I really would like to mention about qualitative data analysis, these software are excellent for literature review. If you are doing systematic review or if you're doing a literature review, these are very helpful and useful for these type of systematic or meta-analysis. I'm going now to stop sharing and I'm going to discuss now using quantitative tools for quantitative data.
Thanks, Rana. Cool. Right. Let me share the screen. Okay. Yep. Hope you can see the screen again. Yep. Okay. Right. So Rana has already discussed about qualitative data analysis tools, and here I'm presenting about quantitative data analysis tool. But I don't think I have to go in detail for this stuff, because as I can remember from the first activity, so some of you are very familiar with the quantitative data analysis tools as well. So that's the one aspect of doing that activity as well, because we should get an kind of background understanding about yourself and what kind of tools that you are engaging with, right? Okay, so I'll give the brief explanation, or maybe the comparison among these four data analysis softwares. But we know that, for example, the graduate students or undergraduates, so they are actually about to start their research project. So they normally use Microsoft Excel as a part of data analysis tool. And some of them are, if they are at the initial stage of research process or research experience that they are taking, they normally use Excel as well. But it doesn't matter, because it still gives us a positive reflection about our analysis as well. So why it is really important is actually widely available and widely used as well. And it's pretty easy to use. And we also have Google Sheet as well, and then we can collaboratively work with the other research team members as well. And data visualization is okay, and integration into other tools. For example, we can import some of the Excel CSV file into the SPSS as well. So in that case, it's pretty convenient. And what are the disadvantages of using Excel? So some of the, we still have limited statistical capabilities. For example, if we compare with the SPSS, so it still give the limited analysis from the Excel. And data size also sometimes it's constraints, and data integrity. But when we move to the SPSS, so that's the most famous data analysis tool. I know that in Sri Lankan context as well. And we can use number of statistical types, right, for the data analysis. For example, it could be the descriptive statistics analysis, or maybe the regression analysis, or we can use ANOVA tables, and also chi-square test, right? So there are a number of ways we could use that our data to represent. And it's again user-friendly, and data visualization is also fine. But the on the other hand, we have to have the paid version of the SPSS, not using the crack version or things like that, right? And the other limitation is about its proprietary format. So that means we won't be able to use that some of the files into import into the other tools. So it's sometimes limited. And Stata and Matlab, so those are also one of the famous quantitative data analysis tools as well. And sometimes, so the Stata actually is it's also the user-friendly software, and normally who are represent in the field of that economics and sociology or the political science, yeah, those subject discipline, who represent those subject disciplines, really happy to use this Stata as well. And that's again it limited with some of the requirements, because it's the cost of the cost of the software, it's high. And also it's also not support with the other data analysis tools as well. And Matlab, so the researchers, those who represent the For example, coming from the engineering or physics and other scientific disciplines, so they actually prefer to use MATLAB as well. So it's again, you can see that depends on your research area, research discipline, research interest. So you still have the opportunity to see whether I'm going to go with the qualitative data analysis relevant to my research or quantitative. And if it is quantitative, and again, you can think about which one is the suitable one for the analysis, as well as to approach your research problem, research objectives. And MATLAB also, it's a kind of numerical computing tools as well, and it's again costly, similar to SPSS and Stata. Right. And also, in order to use MATLAB, not like SPSS, for the SPSS, even we can use the manual and then use the steps, right? Follow the steps. But for the MATLAB, so it requires lots of learning to go step by step, right? So these are one of the pros and cons related to the quantitative data analysis tools, right? So we only have limited time, so we won't be able to demonstrate all the tools, how it works, and what are the disadvantages and so on. But I know that since we are discussing about the research and everything, so if you know the things, you have the ability to search them and then go in detail if you want to use it, right? Okay, so next, right? So based on our structure of our workshop, now you can see that we have almost covered two parts, pre-data analysis and data analysis stage. So now we are moving to post-data analysis stage as well. Right, okay. So I would like to start with the online presence as a researcher, why it is important, because you know that in the post data analysis stage, so we are thinking about how am I going to present my outcome, whether it is a journal article or whether it's a thesis. How am I going to be a researcher, and how am I going to be famous among the research community, and what I should do. So in the today's world, so we know that we are in the digital world, so we are using number of digital tools, and we always on internet, right? So why not we as a researcher not present online, and we should do that. And then what are the advantages that we could get as we are present in online forms. So as you can see from the screen, these are one of the important things to think about, why I should presence online as a researcher, why it's important, because your visibility is recognition is really important as a researcher. For example, when we search some of the names, right, persons by name, so you should be able to search in there, right, according to your research interest field, your expertise area. And also it provides lots of networking among the networking with the other researchers as well. If you can remember, while we are using the Research Rabbit and also the connected papers and things like that. So if we use them, so you saw that how that papers or the authors connected with each other as well. It could be they are maybe connected with the same research project, or maybe they have the similar research interest, right? So we will be able to connect with all of them as well. So likewise, if you are not online visible, no one knows that you are doing this research and your expertise areas are this and this, right? So networking is really important, and we have to learn lots of things from our research community as well, right? Okay, and then the research dissemination, absolutely. So we should be able to share our research outcome among other research community as well. Then they knows that, okay, so I have produced really valuable research article, so this and this, so this will be able to maybe connect with the other research project and so on. So that's again another it could be a public engagement as well, right? So you can apply for the fundings, and probably not only researchers from the Sabaragama University of Sri Lanka, but from maybe the University of Kelaniya or maybe the University of Colombo, there will be the collaborative research project that you could start with, right? So all these things could happen easily if you presence as a researcher online. Okay. And career advancement, so if you want to switch your role, so you can go to the other research areas as well. If you want to professionally do research, then you can connect with the other research colleagues, maybe in local or international, right? And then it again produces lots of collaboration opportunities as well. And on the other hand, it impact metrics. So why? For example, if I'm using the Google Scholar or ResearchGate, so you know that kind of H index, and then how our research ranked, and how that citations going on, how many people cited my research articles, and then how I might become expertise in that particular area, right? So that's also really important. And it again gives you the academic branding as an academic or as a researcher. And also, it's again kind of area for us to give add ourselves to that development of the society as well, maybe the Sri Lankan economy or the political or whatever, right? And it's again gives opportunity for us to link with the advocacy and policy influence as well. So these are some of the benefits of why we should have ourselves online presence as a researcher. And then the next question is, naturally comes up to your mind, is how am I going to present myself as a researcher online, right? So these are some of the sites and services for fostering your visibility online. So if you are not using some of them, so you can start off is the start of going online, and then shows your research outcomes and research interest, and connected with others as well, right? So one is having a unique researcher identifier. So there are some of the examples. So we can have the ORCID ID, or it calls Open Researcher and Contributor ID. And also, if not, you can apply for the researcher ID and Scopus ID as well. So for the one researcher, it's not telling that you should have all these IDs. No. So if you can have one, should be fine, because it shows that, okay, you are a particular researcher and you have unique researcher identifier as well. So based on your under your name, so all the researchers will organize according to your identification, right? For example, my surname is Suravira. So if someone is publishing articles under Suravira, but he or she may not starting the name from N, but my one is starting from N Suravira. And if I'm searching myself, so all these comes under my unique research identifier, because that number, it's not uh, it's not tracking the other researchers articles and research areas, right? It's really important in that case. And also for the publication process, so Rana will talk about that one later on. For that purpose also, some of the publishers, they asking about those identifiers, right? So having one is really important. Then what is the other strategy? Right. Um, Having a personal site or the social media, right? So you don't need to have all of them. At least one should be fine. If you are using the Facebook, you can use them, or maybe LinkedIn, or if you have a personal blog according to your research interest, if you have developed that one, you can continue with your research outcomes as well. And there are lots of researchers joined with sort of blogs. And also you can develop your own websites, rather maybe connected with your own academic profile in the university, or maybe different one from there. Right. And the next one, is having a research community. So you can have an academia research account, or maybe the Google Scholar, having a Google Scholar account, or maybe ResearchGate, right? So from there you can see your impact for the research field, having a H index and things like that, right? So those are one of the examples for you to think about. Right. And the next one is about when we think about the publication process, and also the thesis, producing a thesis and articles and so on. Compilation of the reference and the bibliography is really important. So I can still remember my our first activity. So I got to know that some of them are using Mendeley as well. Yeah. So these are some of the examples. So you can go with ProQuest RefWorks, or maybe Mendeley, EndNote, or Zotero as a preference management tool, right? And you can see the comparison chart here, but I should have a clear explanation on this here, because you can see that EndNote got all the correct marks, and there's no crossline as well, because EndNote and RefWorks, they are licensed versions, right? Your university or the institution should be able to buy them by paying all these fees, right? So if we able to um, have that one, so then it's okay, right? But you can see that Mendeley and Zotero, they are free versions, and almost the important stuff, right? That important things that we could do with the Mendeley or Zotero. And personally, I'm using Zotero because it's user friendly and not like really complicated. But if you are happy with the Mendeley, please go ahead this one. You don't need to switch, right? At least what we expect, at least you have to use one. So that's the most important thing. And you can, again, if you can refer back to our earlier slides, you can again linked with the Research Rabbit or the connected papers with these reference management tools. So it's pretty easy for you to organize yourself. Right. And I will quickly go through the demonstration for the Zotero, but I need to make clear explanation here, because I'm not focusing on adding references into your Word document, because I know that the people who are representing from the library, so they are really pretty good on you know, giving sort of training on that, right? But I would like to, what I would like to focus, I will share the, let me share the, right. Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'll share the Zotero again. Here we go. Right. So hope you can see the screen, isn't it? Yep. Okay. Right. So what I'm focusing here is so this is how it looks like. For example, if you are using Zotero library, Zotero reference management tool, so you can see that different libraries are there, and we can make different libraries according to our literature survey, right? So I take the same example because we are working with the systematic literature review on academic development, right? So these are the articles that we actually searched, right? So then the most important thing is adding references into Word document. It's pretty easy. So you can go through some of the videos and then see how you're going to incorporate those references from reference management to the Word document that you are working on. But I would like to encourage you to have, when you use your reference management tool, it's important to have sort of, adding notes, tags, and related items. because it's really important while we are conducting the literature review process and also completing our research articles and so on. We need to see the link again in our reference management tool as well, right? So for example, if I select one, so you can see some of the automatic tags have been displayed in the corner here, right? So when I click on these barriers, things like that, so it shows which article is comes or represent those barriers, right? Or maybe the professional development and things like that. And also, if I then click on the change agency, then again shows, okay, which paper it comes as a change agency, right? It's pretty easy for us to go to the article and then use for our purpose. And also, I'll quickly go to the database again and then select one. And those are the automatic tags. And also you can add tags from by yourself as well. For example, if you are looking at the technology integration or the if I select continuous dialogue with students in academic development, right? So I can add tags. For example, it's about the students engagement. I can say, okay, it's around a students engagement, right? And I can add one more, or maybe it's also about the academic developments as well. Right, done. So that means that article represent those two keywords, tags. And if you want to have a notes, so at the same time, for example, if I click on here, right? So this is the article that I want to read through, and then we can add notes as well. For example, I can highlight this and I can color them, and also yeah, and also we can add see these items. It's all automatically goes to the note pages as well, right? So why that note is again important. So while you are working here, so you can actually move to here, and then so you can, if you want to take those relevant text into your research paper or the thesis, so you can actually have sort of paraphrasing from here, and then adding that bits and pieces from yours, and then continue your literature review process like that, right? So that's really important, rather than to use this reference management tool not only for adding the references, right? So that's why I was focusing here, not regularly discussing about the adding references from reference management tool to the Word document, but also we have lots of stuff to do within the reference management tool as well, right? And also why it is important, the related sections. Related section, because for example, I want to add related items, right? So I can go and add, I know that this article is about the continuous engagement with the students and the academic development as well. And if I know that the similar kind of things have been discussed in this article, right? For example, developing a student, professional standards and things like that. So if this article is connected with the current reading, then I can add that one. So that means those two articles are related, and then they are discussing the similar things, maybe not compare the other stuff, not in contrast items, but also giving similar ideas, right? And then while you are doing the literature review process and also the writing and also producing your research papers, those strategies, tactics are really important for us to end up with our outcome, right? So that's what I was focusing here. And you can also try it by yourself rather than not using these reference management tools, not only for the adding references, but also play with these notes, tags, and related and items. And if we add some of the some of the notes. For example, if I add notes here, so you can see that those items we will be able to see yeah, under these particular papers as well, right? So it's adding kind of what we called as a child of the main paper, right? So in that situation, it's pretty easy for you to manage your writings, paraphrasing things, and also adding stuff to the reference literature review paper and finalizing your outcomes, research paper or thesis or article, right? Okay, so yep, that's time to move fast. Right. Here we go. Right, I'll stop sharing this one. Okay. Yeah, and I think I'll give a chance for my colleague Rana to continue the rest of the other sections. Rana, your mic is mute.
Yeah, sorry for that. So while I'm going to continue from what just Namali just mentioned. Namali mentioned first that you need to be visible in the research world using lots of tools. And the other thing, you also hope that you will be recognized, and you also need to be aware of how you will publish. The first thing you need to think about is how to do referencing. Actually, doing referencing is not just important because it will help you to know where did you get your ideas from, but it's also a very important tool to avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism is one of the most actually risks that it can actually affect your reputation as a researcher. And you need to be really aware of types of plagiarism that can happen in research. Now, most of people might say, what types of plagiarism that can happen? So I'm just going to share with you now different types of plagiarism that many of you, most of us as researchers can happen with us intentionally or without actually we know that they are happening. So there are different types of plagiarism, and as you can see, there are a lot. And to make things much easier for you, I'm going also to share the source for this identify the meaning of each of these meaning, but in general, some plagiarism can happen deliberately, which means you know that you are actually taking from others' work. Like, for example, doing a global plagiarism, which is like, for example, asking someone to do the work for you, or copy and paste kind of plagiarism, where you actually just copy paste others' works. This is easy to be detected. Now, there's an interesting type of plagiarism that is like self-plagiarism, which means using your work different times and now without actually proper citing them. Other than that, in addition, one of the reasons that you actually need to be careful about citing is that not citing the research that you used properly can also be a resource for plagiarism. The other thing, other types of plagiarism that we actually practice and do lots of training to do is anything related to paraphrasing. Like, for example, we need to practice how to paraphrase without doing patchwork, which means collecting things from different parts and putting them without actually citing which part I've taken this part from. Then there is some types of plagiarism that is very hard to be detected. For example, like stitching sources, which means that or for example, creating your own types of plagiarism by taking ideas, reading different resources, then come up with an idea and claiming that this is your idea while it's already there from other resources. So one of the things you need to be aware of is how to avoid all types of research plagiarism. I'm going to share with you after I finish my slides, a resource that an article that you can actually read, and you can actually understand exactly which type of how to avoid each type of these of the plagiarisms that mentioned here. The next step is, okay, after I write my paper, I need to check, I need to ensure that I am okay, and I did not actually I would like just to check that my writing is okay. So there are different types of software that can help us to detect that. The most popular one, which we all might know, Turnitin or Grammarly. Now, Grammarly provides some kinds of free subscription or free features, while Turnitin, most of the time you need to pay for it. And if your organization actually is paying for it, it will be much easier for you to detect yours. However, now once you put your work on any of these software to detect your work, it's super important to ensure it is not stored on the database of one of these, because otherwise, if you are examining your work, then re-examine it again, it will detect. If you save it on these databases, it will show that you're actually plagiarizing from yourself. So be careful. Use always the features that actually will make you avoid saving your work on this software. So when you submit your work after that to journals, your work is just being checked but not being saved. Otherwise, if anyone detected that, it will look like you are actually copying from your own work. So this is one of the things you need to be aware of. All of these things can be used for your to check your work, and also as much as you can try to use software that can actually not only related to things on the database on, for example, Google, but also those actually that includes journals and articles from different databases. So this is, for example, why Turnitin can be very useful. So I'm going also to share with you the link for this comparison. You can find it easily on Wikipedia. And once you click on the link I'm going to share with you after I finish, you can actually check each of these software and then decide which of these works best for you. Okay? So this will be hopefully a very helpful tool for you to use to choose which software for your plagiarism. So now you actually decided to be to exist on a research community, and you actually you developed your own work. In addition, you actually checked that everything you wrote was correctly cited, no plagiarism. The next step is to publish your book. So when you think about publishing your work, what are the main two things I need to think about when I need to publish my work or my article in journal? So there are actually two main things you need to think about. First of all, the ranking. Ranking can be very tricky because I'm going to show you now quickly how ranking can look like. So SJR, it's a tool that you can actually use to check the journal ranking. What does this mean? This means you need to know the journal's impact factor and the reputation of this article, of this journal. This is very important because I'm going to show you how. So as you can see here, so this is SJR website, and you can see here how all journals or most recognized journals around the world actually are ranked. And Q1 means they are from the top best journals in its field. Then after that comes the Q2, Q3, Q4, which means that they are not the best. Now, for example, let's see if you are looking at something related to, for example, topics that you might be interested. So as you can see here, all types of disciplines that you might be interested in. For example, if arts and humanities, for example, I'm just pointing here. And then you can now choose a specific topic about, for example, about history, for example. I'm clicking here on history. countries, if you are interested in certain countries, all types. You can also are looking for journals. We are looking for journals, for example, to see the most, and then the year. And you can see here, for example, the journals that you can actually explore. What are the highest ranked journals in this table, where you can, if you clicked on one of them, for example, let's click on this one. It will give you information about its index and the publisher and the subject they are actually, you can publish your work on. In addition, it will show you how it was being actually classified. As you can see at the beginning, it was Q2, which wasn't really good in economics and econometrics. And it was quite Q3 in 2000. However, you can see after that the development of this article, of this journal, and in the past 10 years, it's been among the top journals in the Q1. And you can see this is related, for example, to its reputation in the economy. But in history, it's been always among the top universities. So this is one of the tools that you can actually use to check the ranking of the journals. I'm going to share this link with you. So you can, for example, depending on your discipline, check the ranking of the best journals that you can. So let's see, you are interested in publishing your work in the top 10, in one of the top 10. What will be your next step? The next step is to check the aims and scope. Aims and scope is very important. If you wrote the best and exciting and the best article in the world, and then send it to a journal that is not interested in your topic, or that the scope and the aims of this journal is not related to your work, they will not publish it and your publication will be refused. This is quite interesting because, for example, recently I was doing a research on digital devices. Now, digital devices seems to be a very big topic, but not all journals actually are interested in theory. Some of them actually interested more in experimental work. Some of them are interested in theoretical work. Some of them actually are interested in the research about or the like say literature review about this topic. So check first the aims and scope of each journal. How you can find that? If you clicked on any journal, the first thing you need to click on is go to the aims and scope, check the aims, check your publication and see, is my work actually relevant? Is there any relationship between what I hope to publish and that? So this is what you actually need to ensure about when you look at choosing the journal to publish it. Now, there are also types of journals that we can call them open resource. So they are not really like, they are available for everyone. And sometimes the reputation of open resource journals are not always high, but sometimes it can actually make you present. So it can increase your presence online. So you need sometimes to balance what you exactly want. Do you would like to start putting your research to be known or to practice publishing your work? Or would you like to know, I would like to publish my work in the best journals in the field. So both of these. And to prepare yourself for publishing your work on the highest ranking, prepare yourself for lots of revisions. So they will just keep sending you back and forth, asking you to enhance your work, which is not always easy. So, for example, Namely and I know, for example, one of our senior academy developers, she said one of those high-ranked journals, she's been a senior lecturer, associate lecturer, and she'd never been successful in publishing in her work there because of the very, very strong revision process there. So don't be, don't let that put you off. It's okay to start publishing your work in Q3 and Q4, and then as you enhance your research skills, then move after that to Q2 and then to Q1. So don't be flexible about being there, and as long as you publish as much as you can, every publication is an addition to you. Okay. So this is about publication, and now move into the next part, which is to sum up what we've just discussed today. So today we have actually discussed lots of topics. We started talking about pre-data analysis, and then we talked about data analysis itself, and finally we talked about post-data analysis. In the pre-data analysis, we actually discussed literature research, knowledge map, literature tracking, data collection, and we suggested some of the tools that you can use. What is important here is not the tools, but why you choose these tools. And we hope that we actually shared with you some of the thinking strategies that help you to make decisions which to use. Then the next thing, we talked about data analysis, and we talked about quantitative data and qualitative data. Quantitative data, that is very popular, and we don't need to convince you to use them. However, qualitative data is less popular because they are expensive, and not all organizations actually happy to pay the subscription. However, if you are doing really big research that require different types of data, complex type of data, please consider using qualitative data. Some of them are really affordable. For example, when I was doing my PhD, if you're a PhD student, MaxiQDA have a really nice subscription scheme for PhD students, which is really affordable for students. While, for example, once you finish your PhD, you can't enjoy this subscription. Now, after that, but just the main thing about qualitative data is you need to change your mindset when you change from quantitative to qualitative data. Finally, we talked about post-data analysis, and we talked about referencing, plagiarism, online presence, which is the most important thing for you to do, and to things that will help you to do that, publishing your work in journals. Considering different types of journals, different databases for that. We also shared some of the tools. Again, it's not about the tool itself, but it is about how to choose the best tool for your work. That will save you heaps of time, because you don't really need to spend time doing work and then you don't know which you don't need to pay, or you don't want to spend time learning a software or learning a new digital skills that you will not use it. So understanding the how to use and which to use will be the thing that is matter. So, and now I'm going to stop sharing and give the mic to Namali. Stop sharing.
Right. Thanks, Rana. So you're sharing lots of thoughts. Right. So I will share the, yes, last bit. Right. So, yeah, so we have already sum up our session, and then what we have already covered, but also we need to share some of the thoughts again while you are using the technology, right? Because you need to be keep calm and be safe using technology, because technology has very valuable role to play, especially in the research, as long as you can see, it used appropriately, if you use technology appropriately, and also technology supports for the genuine research, and finally does not detract or distract from the proposed research work. So the idea here is the technology is not the first, your research is first, but use the technology in order to effectively carry out your research process from the pre-data analysis or data analysis or post-data analysis stages, right? So we hope you already got the clear idea. Maybe you may have lots of questions as well. So we will move to the question and answering session. I think Rana and myself, we tried our hard to stay on track with the timing as well, right? So we still have 10 to 15 minutes for the discussion. And let me share the next slide as well. And also you will receive the link for this one, because we have limited time for the question and answer. But still, if you want to post, or if you want to add your questions for us to asking different answers, and you can still do it. So you'll be able to go to the Padlet activity. So you can scan from here, or you can go to the site. Hope that the link has already received. Yes. And this one. Yep. And yeah, so still you have time to interact with us 10 to 15 minutes. But if we have more questions, please feel free to go to this Padlet and then add your questions over there. Myself and Rana will be able to answer them later on and then share with you as well. Right? Okay, so it's we would like to pass into you to clarify anything or any questions, any comments for me and Rana. Yeah, we are really happy to answer. Any questions so far? Or what questions do you have right now at the end of the session?
Hello, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay, thank you. It's a nice presentation from both of you. My question is about the research rabbit. Is it possible to develop figures that show the the the
Asinta, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I
yeah.
make it the sound is not that much clear from you.
Okay, may I type then?
No, that's okay now. You better. Yeah, that's right.
So
Go ahead.
yeah, is it possible to create images that show the citations per papers? You know, that kind of figures. When we write in review papers, we need to sometimes create that type of images. So for an example, in the y-axis, we can get the citation records on the number of citations, and x-axis maybe the maybe the authors, the papers, you know, that kind of information. So is it possible to use that research rabbit, and also is it possible to publish those images in peer-reviewed articles? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. According to my understanding and my practice, research rabbit is usually connected with the papers, but also you can the best thing I think try the connected papers, because it's also provide lots of opportunity for you to tag I think the pictures, but I'm not so sure if you could cite the that the get the connected with the images that you are referring, right? So we need to clarify more that one. So it's a good question, but we need to follow up.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any other questions? Do you have anything to add, Rana? Anything?
It's really interesting to know if you are actually now start to convince to use and try more digital tools. Just you can type that on the screen, like saying, yes, I'm convinced, I'll try more. That will be really good to know, because you know the aim of this workshop is to encourage you to try and to, you know, come out from your comfort zone. Or I prefer to use my pen and paper or Word to just to try to use other tools. So let us know if you would like to share your feedback. We will be very happy to know if you are now think you're ready to start trying other tools.
Yeah, that's right. Some of the questions posted already. Mm.
Oh, thanks for that. Actually, Callbot is very tricky here. Some universities and some schools and some organizations, actually, they say you can't use it. Others say it's okay. So one of the things you need to check if it is okay with your organization or not, because you will be surprised that now any AI tool in general should be clear to you how I should using them in my research. Is it okay or not? Using AI itself cannot be considered as a misconduct unless it's been stated clearly by a journal or by an institution like a university or by, for example, a publication, how you actually should report using any AI tool. So if you reported that precisely, considering all this thing, it will not be a misconduct or a plagiarism. If it's not allowed, you don't. So this is one of the really good questions that you need actually to check if you are if you can actually use AI tools. You will be there will now in all journals that you are going to publish, there will be like a section explaining how you should actually how using AI actually align or does not align with the policies. So just to check this section, hope this will be helpful. Oh, thanks. Actually, some areas they speak with the strong English accent, depending on where they come from. Thanks for this nice question. Yeah, it depends. Depends on which part of New Zealand. So some people really have a heavy accent that is hard to understand. Others, they just like us, this mixed accent.
The participants can ask any questions. We have like 5 to 10 minutes more to end up the session. And also you can give any comments.
Would you like to comment on depending on the big one?
Shall we go ahead with this one? Yeah.
Can you comment on this? Yep.
Yeah, this yeah, we don't need to restrict into the license version, right? There are many more ways of using digital tools. So most of digital tools that we discussed today, lots of them are free, not the paid version. So still we could carry out our research according to the like I mean, if efficiently and effectively. So it doesn't mean that we always need to have a license version, and then it's sometimes it's not supporting each other as well for the different tools.
Yeah, thanks, Namely. For example, a great example about that is Zotero compared to EndNote. Zotero is free. Most of
Yeah.
researchers actually use it, and it's completely free. And you can use it without need to pay the subscription for EndNote. So so this
Even
is one of the
ResearchRabbit is a even ResearchRabbit also a free tool. And the connected papers, it's not totally free, but still you have the opportunity to see the map, like 5 maps per month, like that. So you don't need to worry about that one. At least 5 map is much more than enough for the researchers to go ahead. So you can try next the other one if you want to have it in the next month.
I can say something that you can use. Most of the software, they will give you like a free. Don't buy anything before trying or using the free trial to ensure that it works well with your data. So first of all, you can use, for example, I'm just giving an example. MaxiQDA can give you 30 days to try. Try to do some of parts of your research, and then if you think it will really help you, will really save time, okay, it's worth investing there. But don't pay for a software without using these trial times to be sure it actually works for my data. It really works for my purposes. It really fits with my budget. Otherwise, you will be you will end up paying for things you don't really need to. And as I said, when we talked about collecting data, sometimes using the free tools like Google Forms will do all the magic. You don't really need to have more than Google Forms, for example. Or for example, you might use them to do the basic things you really need. So don't, be careful about, if you know exactly what you want, you will be safe from spending lots of money on that.
That other comment also related with this one. So we are facing a really big economic crisis, so depending on that, that's the best way for us to go for the open source and the freely available tools. There are many more.
Hello. Hello, madam. I am Udita. Madam, thank you very much for both of resource person to sharing this much valuable knowledge with us. Actually, it covers, I think, all the steps in the research process. In the pre-research and the middle and the end of the research, everything you covered in the short period of time. Thank you very much giving us actually especially new technologies about new tools and everything. My question is not regarding your content. I would like to know that what is the tool you use to do the presentation? I think it is not the Microsoft PowerPoint. What is that tool? Thank you.
It is Microsoft PowerPoint. We use, but we
Anyway,
use
nice
different.
presentation, very attractive, madam.
We use the Microsoft PowerPoint, but use the that inserting the different shapes.
Thank you so much, madam.
You will be surprised how PowerPoint is really powerful. So it is, so how you use it, you can develop lots. So one of the things, the tricks you can use is that you can click on insert and go to icons, and then you go to illustrations, and you'll find all types of of things that you can add. Actually, Namali spends a lot of time creating these beautiful shapes, and it's created from scratch. So bit by bit, she built them, and then we kept using them in every slide. So it's just a blank page, and then we building these things. So there's also now on Instagram lots of websites on using PowerPoint creatively, and you will be surprised. Now about the network, I think Namali, you are on Google Scholar and ResearchGate, I think.
Yep.
Then I'm on Google Scholar, ResearchGate, and LinkedIn, and also Namali on LinkedIn. So
LinkedIn.
this
so,
is
yeah.
Hopefully we answered the question on the chat.
Yeah, and one of the best answer for Mudita as well, because soon once you created the one presentation and then save it some of the shapes for future use as well, so you don't need to worry about again and again. So I have the library like that, so then I can use it again and again rather than thinking from the scratch from the beginning, right? Yeah.
Thank you,
So
madam.
you need to spend one time of creating one thing, and then you can save it for the future use as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
And madam, we have one question actually
Mhm.
from I think Mr. Ratnavira. Talking of networking, where are you and what do you suggest? Maybe the research community networking. Maybe he.
Yeah, I think that's the one Rana already addressed, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's the one she's looking for. So myself and Rana, we are available in the research community. So we have the ResearchGate, Google Scholar, and I'm on Facebook too, and also uh, LinkedIn. Yeah. Yeah, and also.
I highly recommend ResearchGate and Google Scholar. Once you start publishing, it's really important to have a research on Google Scholar, to have an account there, and that will be really useful for anyone who's looking for you. In addition, of course, to ResearchGate, which is very, very useful network community.
Yeah, plus it shows the impact rate as well.
Any more comments or the questions if you have? It's 11 o'clock now.
For us, it's 6:30 p.m.
Unlucky. Anyway, when you are here, also you didn't have any time slots like that. It may be morning, night. At any given time, you contact us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea about building a community. Actually, I think this will also, even if it's not, but to be honest, being visible to the outside world is really important if you would like to have more impact. So, okay, it's to be within a small community, but actually it's not very hard to open an account on ResearchGate or LinkedIn or on Google Scholar. It's quite easy. It won't take time. So go for it.
True.
If there's no more comment or questions, can we wind up, madam? Okay. So I think it was a very interesting and informative session for everyone who joined. Actually, I think though this number is very less number of participants, I think they were interactively and actively participated in the session, and they gave more feedback. And this was organized by the library, Sabaragama University of Sri Lanka, in parallel with the International Conference of Sabaragama University of Sri Lanka 2023. So the session was ResBaZ, to upskill your digital research practice. And I should thank Dr. Namali Suravira, Senior Lecturer, Department of Library and Information Science, Faculty of Social Sciences, University of Kelani, Sri Lanka, and currently attached to the Victoria University of Wellington, New Zealand as an academic developer. And also her colleague, Dr. Rana Dow. She's also an academic developer, Victoria University of Wellington, New Zealand. So I hope all the online participants, they enjoyed this session. And if you have any further clarification when you're doing your research activities, I think you can contact both of the resource persons, and they are really willing to support you at any given time. And I think their intellectual contribution to enhance our conference this time would be much more great support. And thank you, everyone. The people joined us through online mode from different areas, though it's very heavily raining here. Thank you very much for your best support. And the people who joined from Sabaragama University, representing our university and also the library, thank you very much. And have a nice day, library. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rana, and thank you all. Yeah. Okay.